Hey, Royals fans. We're chatting with Royals Hall of Famer George Brett, and we have some great questions today from Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And George, before I looked at the fans'
Twitter?
questions,
You got Twitter? Did you say Twitter?
Twitter, yeah.
You got them all covered.
I have questions from there, but I don't do Instagram and I don't do
My son
Facebook.
Jackson does it for me.
He does?
Whenever he thinks I should do something on Instagram, he does it. I don't know my passwords to anything. I don't know if you do, but I have a piece of paper here. This is unbelievable. Look at all the passwords I got.
Okay. Don't show that too long.
No, because here's what happens when you get a new thing. It says password. You got to use a password. All of a sudden, that password's already taken. I'm going, well, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
So I got one password, but that doesn't work. I am just completely lost when we do this stuff.
Well,
That's why I got on 10 minutes early to make sure I could get on.
And you don't want to have the same password for everything because
they can't. They won't let you.
All they have to do is figure out one, and so go the times we're in right now. So I was trying to think of an original question that I haven't asked you as long as I've known you, and I just went back over your career. 13 All-Stars, MVP 1980, a Gold Glove, World Series champion, retired number, a member of the Hall of Fame, 3,154 hits, 3 batting titles,
7,000 outs.
And you figured you bring something up like that. That was Paul Spodorf's go-to. I would always mention he was the winningest pitcher in Royals history, and he'd always say, "I'm also the losingest pitcher in Royals history."
I made more outs than anybody in Royal history, also.
3 batting titles in 3 different decades. Which one of those to this day you get the warm and fuzzies over out of all those accomplishments?
I would say winning the World Series, and I'm not just saying that to be a team player. But I can watch my Hall of Fame speech. I can watch and feel good about myself. Uh-huh. But when I watch a replay or highlights, and I do that a lot when I'm walking, although recently I've been watching the 2015 World Series. Mm-hmm. I still watch the wild card game against Oakland an awful lot. It brings goosebumps to my arms. I get goosebumps. I really do. But to win a world championship, especially after losing in 76, 77, 78, not making the playoffs in 79, losing in the World Series in 80, losing in the playoffs in 81, losing in the playoffs in 84, and then finally winning one in 85, to not only see and not only feel the excitement inside, mm-hmm. but to see it with everybody that you were associated with that year wearing the same uniform. You could have been the 25th guy on that team. You could have been the guy that was a September call-up and made the roster and never played in a playoff game or a World Series game. But he was there if you needed him. He felt exactly the same like I did, that we won a world championship. Mm-hmm. And I swear, if you asked Moustakas, Hosmer, I think they would all say the same thing. And then not only that, but you don't realize what it means to the city that you're playing in. You don't realize it when you're out there playing. And all of a sudden when we had our parade and the celebrations and things like that, it was beyond my wildest dreams, Ryan. It was really beyond my wildest dreams how a stupid game of baseball can affect a city the size of Kansas City, how everybody comes together.
Well, you just answered a couple of questions. JT from Instagram and Braden from Instagram both wanted to know about your favorite moment and what it was like winning a World Series. Let's talk more specifically about your career. Here's one I always think is fun to talk about with guys, especially when their career is over. John from Twitter, who was the toughest pitcher you faced?
Well, I get asked that all the time. And I think when I came up, there was a guy in the league, Terry Forster. I don't know if you remember him.
Sure. Dodger.
He was with the Dodgers, but he was with the White Sox when I first came up. And I think it took me 2 years to put a ball and play on him. He was a reliever. And they had two young relievers in the bullpen. One was Goose Gossage and one was Terry Forster. Well, Terry would always face me, and then they'd bring in Goose to face the other guys, you know, they'd bring Goose in to face Amos Otis and Hal McRae. And I remember one time we're playing in Chicago, and I hit a pop-up down the third base line, and I'm praying for the guy to catch it in foul territory because I didn't want to strike out. And I got back to the dugout and I said, hey, at least he didn't strike me out. I'm gaining ground on this guy, you know. But when I was young, he was really tough. I'll tell you something ironic. In 1978, I had a good year, and Ron Guidry had a great year, 27-3. And they asked me who was the toughest pitcher I faced that year. And Ron Guidry, you remember him, left-hander, I mean, electric slider, threw pretty hard, probably 92, 93 miles an hour, good control. But a slider was unhittable. And I said, Ron Guidry has the best stuff I've ever seen in my life. Well, they asked him at the end of that season, who was the toughest guy you faced? And he said, George Brett. And I'm a left-handed hitter. But, you know, for some reason, I was able to put the ball in play and get some hits off him. And then in 78, in the playoffs, he was pitching, and I hit the ball over Mickey Rivers' head, slid into third, and got in a fight with Greg Nettles. It hit a triple in the first inning off him. But I'd say Ron Guidry was, you know, for a period of time there. And then at the end, I would be foolish not to say Randy Johnson. You know, Randy Johnson, I mean, right-handers didn't like facing him. And the one thing that I had going for me is Hal McRae was my manager. Hal played till he was 40 years old. Hal knew what it was like to face a Nolan Ryan his last year, and he would put Hal on a slump for like 2 or 3 days after that. So Hal McRae told me at the start of spring training, you will never face Randy Johnson again. I'm going to give you a day off. And Hal would never give me a day off at home. So I think I faced him at home, but when we went to Seattle, I got the day off on him. And Randy, to this day, always says I ducked him. And I said, well, I pinch hit in the ninth inning and flew out to the wall in right field in old Seattle. And I pinch hit that game with 2 outs in the ninth inning and thought I hit a double off the wall, which would have tied the game because somebody was on first base and Jay Buhner jumped up and caught the ball. But by far, and this is before he had his good control, where he was conveniently wild, if you want to say conveniently. You know, he could still throw it behind you. Ask John Kruk, even when he had his control. But he was by far, I mean, the most dominant guy that I've ever faced.
Okay, so here's a play on that. You know, like you said, you've been asked that question a lot about the pitcher. How about this one? This is a good one. This is from Randy on Facebook. Playing third base, who was the hitter you feared the most?
My God. Everybody. I would say Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield was tough. In the Pine Tar game, he hit a ball by me, and to this day, I really don't know if I dove out of the way or tried to catch it. That's how hard it was hit. You know, he had the longest arms. Buddy Black was pitching. Buddy used to try to throw that slider down and in to right-handed hitters. Well, Dave Winfield stood off the plate. He had arms that were about 7 feet long. And he hit a ball, and I swear to God, I got back in the dugout and I said, what did that look like? And did it look like I tried to catch it, or did it look like I dove the other way because it was hit so hard? But I would say he scared me quite a bit. Donnie Baylor, real quick bat. You know, the guys that had the quick bats and the big, strong guys. Jim Rice was never fun to play third against. You know, but I would say those 3 guys in their primes were the guys that when they'd come up, I would play as far back as I ever did. And I like to play in. I didn't like the ball going from the grass to the dirt. So I like to play everybody shallow because it takes a different hop. And but I would play those guys almost on the outfield grass because they could hit it so hard down the third base line.
George from Corey from Instagram. Did you have a special pregame routine?
I wasn't smart enough to remember what I did the day before. So I would usually go out and have lunch about 1 o'clock. I'd get to the stadium about 2:15. I would kind of just do my stuff there. Whatever I felt like doing, usually take a little extra batting practice at 4 o'clock. We didn't have cages in the locker room. like they do now. So all the pregame activity you did on the field. Nowadays they have 2 indoor batting cages where guys can go in and do soft toss drills and get loose. We had to do all that on the field. But what I would always do is take extra batting practice at 4:00. Go out there. Some days would be for 10, 15, 20 swings. I just wanted to feel it, make sure it was still there. Because once real batting practice started, I wanted to make sure my swing was there. You know, I didn't want to get out there and all of a sudden go, what happened? Where did it go? Man, I was swinging good yesterday. It feels so awkward today. But I always wanted to go into batting practice, the pregame batting practice, knowing that my swing was there. So I would always go there. I'm at the stadium anyways. I'd get up from playing hearts or gin or whatever card game we were playing that day. And I'd say, I'm going to go hit for 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Somebody take my place. And come back, finish the game, then would go out for regular batting practice. But I think that was one. And then another one was right after the national anthem, because we used to have the national anthem in the dugout. And then all of a sudden the umpires would come out or whatever. And I would always have to go to the bathroom. Number one, I'd always have to go number one. And I was nervous before every game I played. I was scared to death because my performance meant something to me. You know, I had 3 goals every time I walked out on the field, Ryan. 1, nobody was going to hustle more than me on balls put in play. 2, nobody was going to have more fun than me. And 3 was I wanted to be the best player on the field that night. Every night. Now, the first 2 were easy. That was the easiest thing in the world. You hit a ground ball to second baseman, you run hard to first, you run to the dugout. You know, you hit a fly ball to center field, you run, you see if you can get to second base before the guy catches it. That's easy. Having fun. I love to play baseball, so that was easy. Being the best player in the field was really, really hard. Really hard. But those were my 3 goals. And some days I was the best player in the field. A lot of times I wasn't. But that didn't stop me from trying, you know. So, you know, when I asked people when I was a hitting coach, and even in spring training, when I was a hitting coach in 13, and even in spring training games, I was nervous. And I'd go up to talk to guys. I say, a little nervous. They go, what am I nervous for? And I'm saying, well, if you're not nervous, that means that's telling me that your performance today doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. You don't care if you do good or bad. You know, you should want to be the best player in that field every day. And if you really want that, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious. And maybe it wasn't nerves. Maybe it was just the excitement of getting out there and trying to be your best. But I know one thing, until that first pitch was made, man, my heart was beating. Oh my God. It was like I was an Indy 500 driver at the start of the race every game I ever played. After the first pitch, I was fine. But it was just the anticipation and getting out there and performing and trying to be the best player I could be.
You said something when I first came to Kansas City that surprised me, but I related to it. You and I both grew up in Southern California. We both grew up listening to Vin Scully call Dodger games. And I remember Vin Scully was doing an interview, and he said, someone was talking about his preparation and how prepared he is, and he had a story for everything. And he said, I prepare out of fear that I don't sound like a blankety blank on the air that night. And this is, you know, one of the greatest, probably the greatest of all time.
Announcer of all time. The greatest announcer of all time.
And then you know, greatest Royal of all time, one of the greatest left-hand hitters of all time. And I've heard it. And that's my explanation. If anyone talks about preparation to do a broadcast, I mean, it's, to be honest, it's out of fear. And I've heard so many people who have been very gifted and successful in what they've done, that when you peel back the layers, that there's this element of fear that leads to their success.
Yeah, it's almost like a fear of failing. You know, you don't want to fail. I never want to fail in anything I ever do. Anything I ever do, I don't want to fail. I want to win. If I go play golf with my buddies for $20, I want to win. I don't like going to my pocket and giving them $20.
Well, let's talk team.
Taco Tuesday, by the way. Taco
okay. There's not much salt left on that.
No.
Cooper from Instagram. Who was your favorite and funniest Royals teammate, and why?
You know, it's hard to say favorite because I had so many of them. Everybody would assume Jamie Quirk, and I assume that too because we played together so long. We're basically from the same background. Both grew up in Southern California, both signed with the Royals out of high school. He was a lot better football player than I was in high school. He was going to go to Notre Dame, play football, and the Royals gave him money not to go. But our lives paralleled so much. Jamie is there. My Hall of Fame speech. He's the only guy I really mentioned, because he and I, we just been through so much together. Moving to the Midwest, he married a gal from here. I married a gal from here, obviously much later than he did. But he's been a great friend over the years. I think Buddy Black is, to this day, a very dear guy to me. Steve Crawford, do you remember Steve Crawford?
Yep.
Shag was never laughed so much in all my life being around him. But it's hard to just say one guy. Billy Buckner was a great teammate, even though it was only 1 year. And I just loved being around him because he was a batting championship in the National League when I was a batting champion in the American League. And then we were teammates, and they put us next door, locker room next to each other. And I saw what he had to go through every day just to go out and DH a game. His legs were so bad, his ankles were so bad, and all the ice and the things that he had to do, and his dedication to the game, and how much he cared about the game, and how hard he had to work at the game to go out there and play. I mean, that's something I'll never forget. Hal McRae taught me so much about the game of baseball, so much about the way he played. I wanted to play like him. He learned from Pete Rose. He learned from, Davey Concepcion and all those guys in Cincinnati before he came over. And when I saw Hal stretching singles into doubles and breaking up double plays, I said, man, I can do that too. And, I always hear Rex talk about, hey, Willie Randolph telling him, hey, there's two guys in this league you don't want to stick around the bag on a double play, George Brett and Hal McRae. You get it and get the hell away from that bag because they'll break your leg every chance they get. And I take that as a compliment. I really do. I really do, because that means you're a hard-nosed player and you're not there to just compete. You're there to win. And I was there to win every time I took the field.
George, from Jonathan on Facebook, what are the biggest changes you've seen comparing today's players against when you played?
It was like I did a Zoom call yesterday with all the minor league hitters in the Royal organization and all the minor league hitting coaches. And one of the things I said to him, I said, you got to know what type of player you are and be the best player you can be, and don't try to be anybody that you cannot be. And I said, I'm a singles hitter. That's what I was. I was a singles hitter. I played on a big ballpark, AstroTurf. It was fast, long fences, biggest ballpark in both leagues. All I try to do is hit singles. Guess what? You hit a ball over the second baseman's head on AstroTurf. It's fast. It's a double or a triple. Hit a ball over the shortstop, it's double or triple. If I'm trying to hit it hard and I pull it, it's a home run. So be it. But I know I'm not a home run hitter. I think people today don't know what type of players they are. They got to understand who they are and how they can best help their team win. And you get so many guys, little guys, that might hit 3 home runs a year trying to hit home runs all the time. Right. Guess what? Home runs come as a result of a good swing. And if you try to hit a home run, you're not putting a good swing on the ball. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. That's what makes sense to me. And I think that's why I was able to stay with a program that I knew worked for me, regardless of the situation. I just tried to be me.
Right.
Regardless of the situation, I just tried to be me. I tried to hit the ball hard. And if I got it in the air, I was strong enough to maybe hit it 390 feet to right center if the fence was 385. If I was strong enough, or if my swing was really that good, I was able to hit it 412 or 415 over the 410-foot fence to straightaway center. I mean, I never hit them over the back draw. I never hit them like Alex Gordon did that one off Familia. I mean, there's no way in forever I could hit a ball that far. But Alex Gordon was probably just trying to get a base hit there. That's all he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to hit a home run, because if he would have tried to hit a home run, he wouldn't have hit the ball that far.
I heard you talk to minor leaguers one time years and years ago, and I forget who the kid was, but you said, who hit the most home runs in the minor leagues last year? And I don't remember who it was. The kid hit like 22.
Right. I was going to say 23. And then I said, how many did you try to hit? He said, I don't know, 150.
Yeah.
I said, out of the 150 times you tried, how many did you hit? He said, 0. And I said, and you hit 20, you're 22 for 22 not trying. Why are you trying to hit a home run?
Right. I thought that was, and the look on the kid's face was like,
wow.
I never thought about that before.
That makes sense.
All right, let's stay with the minor leaguers. Tori from Instagram. What is your advice for a kid today to improve his baseball skills?
Listen to your coaches. I never really had coaches. I had older brothers, and they knew a lot about baseball. They all played professional baseball. One made it to the major leagues. 2 didn't make it out of A-League, but I was the youngest. I listened to them. I listened to my high school coach. Never played Major League Baseball, but he was a very successful coach.
All right, last one for you, George. This has been great. Elizabeth from Instagram. What has been your go-to quarantine meal?
Oh, let me see. I've been home. I got home here March 20th. I've went to Pat Brooks's for dinner one night. I've went to, there was only 4 of us, and we were social distance in the backyard. It was a beautiful night. I went to Jigger James on a Tuesday. It was Taco Tuesday. Oh, Cinco de Mayo, social distancing. And we've had my kids came over on Easter and Mother's Day. Only time all 3 of my kids have been to my house the same time. I mean, I'm taking this stuff serious. I'll be 67 on Friday. 67. Can you believe 67? Almost 70 freaking years old. I can't believe it. 60 freaking 7. And so I'm taking this stuff serious.
Let me see your ID. I don't believe that.
I swear to God, 67. My 50th high school reunion is next year. So it is. You know, I'm going to say, well, I love to grill steak. I love to grill steak. We kind of do this stuff. It kind of goes in cycles. Steak one night, we'll do chicken. We'll do salmon. Salmon on the Traeger. I do salmon on the Traeger.
Okay.
I do the steaks. I'll do that on the gas grill. I'll do chicken, gas grill, or green egg. I got 3 of them in the backyard.
Okay.
And it just depends on how much time I have and if I wanted to use the charcoal or do that. But I've really gotten into going into the store, Price Chopper, and I get a bagel, fresh bagel, or not bagel, a baguette.
Okay.
Every day. Slice it I slice it in like fourths. And then I cut it at like 4 pieces. Then I slice it down the middle, cut it in little squares, saute that in a little olive oil and butter, and make my own croutons. Oh my God, it's just so good.
Making your own croutons.
I make my own croutons. Well, I'm into the sweet potatoes now. We put them in the oven for an hour. I stab them with a fork a couple times, and then I take them out to the grill and throw them on the grill and get them kind of burnt on the outside or charred a little bit.
So you don't put them in foil?
No, I put them right on the grill.
Okay.
Pork chops, one of my favorite. I got to marinate it in a honey teriyaki sauce. It puts a nice little glaze on it. If I do a ribeye, I do that. If I do a filet, I just put some salt and pepper, a little olive oil on it, and throw it on the grill. I like it charred a little bit on the outside and rare on the inside. But I bet since March 20th, I bet I barbecued or grilled in the backyard all but 10 nights. I'm in the backyard grilling almost every night. And I love it. Love it. Tri-tip. You get some rosemary and you get some garlic. Slice the garlic. Tri-tip. Don't you love it? Yeah.
Love it.
You get a nice, good-sized tri-tip. You put some slits in it. You get some garlic. You peel it. You stick it in, and you throw a little rosemary in there with it. You stick it halfway down.
Yeah.
About 10 of those things in there. Oh my God. Rosemary is not only a good herb to cook with, but it's a good herb to keep in your kitchen. Just a leaf of it or a straw of it. It makes your kitchen smell so good. I got rosemary growing in my backyard in a pot.
Hey, that's one of our quarantine projects. Is we finally did a big old garden in the backyard during
I
this
got
time.
a big one in Arizona. I got a cilantro garden in Arizona.
Do you? I
got onions, tomatoes, cilantro. I got rosemary. I got all kinds of stuff there. And we got rosemary here. We got cilantro. My son Robin's got a garden at his house, and he grows spinach. He brought a bunch of spinach over the other day, and we sauteed some spinach. Oh my God, it was perfect.
Well, George, as always, this has been great. And as many times as we've chatted, I always learned something more about you. And I didn't realize that you were quite the skilled grillsman. And
Tell Price Chopper we should do a cooking show, me and them.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, can you tell I have a passion for cooking? Oh my God, it would be the highlight of my life. Highlight of my life to do a cooking show. I'm not the best, but I have a passion for it. I really do. And it's not sitting in the kitchen over a stove. It's in the backyard. It's in the backyard. In the wintertime, it's by the fire pit. In the summertime, it's out by the putting green. It's the TV on watching the Royals play on the road, and I'm out there barbecuing. And I have a refrigerator right there, too. And in that refrigerator, you can imagine there's some cold silver cans in there, or bottles, or whatever you want to call it. But I spend so much time in my backyard, and to me, that would be almost as good as winning the club championship, Ryan.
Well, Price Chopper's listening right now. We'll see what happens.
I hope so. I play golf with those guys at the Royals golf tournament, and I'm not BSing you. I love to cook. I love to grill. I love to be in my backyard.
All right. George, thanks. It's been great.
Hey, pal.